Hey guys, my name is Jacob Hallman. I'm a theology business minor, and stuff to do that I like for fun is playing spike ball, hanging out with friends, going to the beach, and just enjoying life. So, this is my story. Growing up, I grew up in Houston. That's where I was born. And then I moved over when I was 5 years old because my dad got a job offer out here in the OC. So I grew up in California. Growing up, I had both great, loving parents that were both Christians. So I was introduced to Christianity as a kid, but I didn't really accept Christ until later in life, until I was a freshman in high school. Because I didn't want to believe just what my parents were believing, so it took me a while to get to that point. But throughout high school, there were just moments where I was just struggling with my faith, where I was like, is this thing true? Is this thing reliable? But I was lucky to go to a church in Costa Mesa called Grace Fellowship Church that really foundations of like what it means to be a Christian, but also like why I should believe in these things. Because I was like, why do we believe in such an old book? But there's no facts to go along with it. So I wasn't for sure, but with so much research and so much of my own knowledge, I came to the fact that like this thing is legit. But it wasn't later until life I was baptized. I was a senior. I went to this thing called Saturate OC, which was crazy during COVID. People were getting saved. A lot of cool stuff was happening. I was able to lead like a ministry thing during that time, which was really powerful. But this was all kind of the beginning of my story. It wasn't until like later even in college, in the beginning of college, a lot of crazy stuff happened. But that was the start of my faith journey. Because right after that moment, that was my senior year, and going into my freshman year of college, I got baptized, and it was really powerful. Like, really got connected with the Lord. Just learning all this cool knowledge about God, and like now, like seeing it with my eyes and seeing people getting saved was really powerful. But it was like right before I left for college. So I left for college and was enjoying life. I went to a school called Samford University in Birmingham, Alabama. But I got really sick. And it wasn't COVID. It was this like internal infection that I had that brought me home. And it was really a tough time in my life because I came home, didn't know what was going on. I had uncontrollable bleeding. It was a crazy time in my life. Brought me home, saw multiple doctors, went through multiple tests of stuff. It was gnarly. One doctor that I went to said like you have a possible ability of having colon cancer, and it was really like scary at that moment because I was like, I have cancer. This is crazy. I don't know what to do. But it was really a test of my faith. But it brought like a lot of anxiety. It brought a lot of depression because I was taking all these pills to make me feel better, but nothing was working, and it was some gnarly stuff. I remember there was a moment that I was writing a suicide note because I was just done with life. I felt I had no purpose. It was this time where I was just taking so many pills, didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I was at home. I felt like I was missing out on fun that I had at my old college. And I was like, God, if you are real, like I need to know. Like it was one of those moments. I remember my dad found that note before I did anything, and we both were just in tears. And I've never seen my dad cry, but we were both just like in tears with each other at that moment because I didn't want to end my life, but it was just such a struggle. I didn't know what to do with my life. And I remember we both looked at each other, and my dad's like, you can't do this. And I looked at him and I just said, I know I can't. But after that moment, it was really the start of just like this crazy journey that I've been on. So after that moment of still not knowing like what was truly wrong with my body, having all these uncontrollable bleeding problems, I finally got surgery. And after that moment of making that surgery decision, I had to transfer to another school. So I came to Vanguard University. And at the time, I was like, who goes to Vanguard? I grew up in this local area at Orange County, and I was like, who goes to Vanguard from where I'm from? Because like everybody that was local here goes off to college somewhere else. And I've always been around Vanguard, and because my school, Pacifica Christian High School, where I went for high school, would play games here. So I was so, like, I knew Vanguard, I knew the thing, but I didn't really know the atmosphere until I got here. But going back to my story of, like, the surgery part, I got surgery, got well, went to Vanguard, started going there because I had to stay locally because of the surgery. But still things were online, didn't meet anybody. But yeah, so I started going to the Vanguard, and just thought it was just going to be a once in a lifetime thing. I actually planned to go to another college. This is crazy. So I actually wanted to transfer, but somehow I missed the due date because I got in an accident, a cliff jumping accident, and it actually prevented me from making the payment to go to that school. So I was actually forced to stay at Vanguard, which is crazy. So going into my sophomore year of college, things got interesting. I was a business major at the time, and was going to like all these parties, going to the club, doing all this stuff that I wasn't able to have before, because I felt like I had this FOMO that I had before, where like I was missing out on fun because I was going through surgery, but I missed the central part of that whole purpose of that surgery was my trust in God. Because right before I went to Vanguard my sophomore year, I had this great deep faith with Christ, which was cool, but I lost that when I went into my sophomore year of college. So I was going to all these things, wasn't doing much. I was just like going, but like, you know, going to those things weren't the best things. But it wasn't until my end of my sophomore year that I went to this thing called Circuit Riders, and this was crazy. So this is really the start of my whole journey of like becoming a theology major. I stopped going to the club, I stopped doing the thing because I just found no more life in that, because it really wasn't like giving me anything tangible. It wasn't like fulfilling anything in my soul. Like I just felt so empty, truly. But I went to this one Circuit Rider event, and I kind of fell into lukewarmness because I was going to these things, going to the church, but like not finding life. But this guy named Nick Ferreira did a message in Pepperdine, and he was talking about let the dead bury the dead. And it really sat with me, that verse, when he was talking about that verse for his sermon. And he was saying like, why in life would we say we're following Christ, but then putting so many things before God? Like, I'm going to do a career, I'm going to do get a family, do all these things, but not follow Christ. Because at that point, you're just playing God, and you're not allowing God to work in you. And I was like, whoa, I haven't heard a thing or a sermon like that ever before, which was crazy. So it really sat with me. And when he was saying let the dead bury the dead, he's saying like don't even give like a second thought of like following Jesus, just follow Jesus with all that you have. And it was like, whoa. So like that sat with me, and I was like, okay, am I really called to business? Like, because there's like, I feel like there's so much life with just like giving it all to Jesus, which was crazy. So that was really like sitting with me for a while, until the very end. Like there's finals was happening. My mom wanted me to talk to this one pastor, just this random dude that she wanted me to talk to with an email. Like I literally got this email that my mom was like, hey, like email this dude back, like talk to him about like your life, talk to him about like what you want to do. And I was like, okay, like I'll do it, like whatever. And like literally on the email address it says like, what do you want to talk about? And at the time I was like, purpose in life, and just sent that. Never met this man in my life. We got on a Zoom call because he's super busy. He's a pastor that like mentors other pastors, but he's just like busy with like podcasts and all this stuff that goes on in life. But he was like right when we got on the call, he was just like telling me things about like past stuff, about like family, and like things that like I've never heard like anyone else that I've told before. So like literally like either my mom or like some close friends knew my like true stuff about like my past before like college and stuff, but he was saying some stuff that was crazy. And I was like, who is this man? Like, I've never met this man in my life. But he was telling me, like, I have a call in my life to follow him and, like, minister. And it was this, crazy thing that was happening. But, yeah, so I was, like, really blown away. I was super stoked. I was like, dude, I'm called. Like, I feel like I have so much purpose, like, so much life. But then I was like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't know what this means. Like, I have this calling on my life. Like, what does this all mean? Like, do I change major? Do I not? But it wasn't until, like, I had a real encounter with God, worshiping, and I just bawled. Like, I just started bawling during this worship time that I had, and I was like, God, whatever you want me to do, I'll do. And it was crazy. So, just real encounter. And then, yeah, so ever since then, I changed my major to theology, and just following Christ and following his will, and just having more joy than ever before.